Hey everyone, how's it going? I've been getting a lot of requests lately to do some more beauty building on the channel, and I've been working on a pretty big project in the background. However, I wanted to do something a little bit different with this beauty building video right here that you don't see very often, and that is cleaning up and fixing a production island. We're going to take this island that you see right here, and we are going to turn it into this. So sit back and relax as I go through my thought process as I worked on this project over the course of about an hour. I hope you enjoy. If you do, be sure to leave a like and a comment. And with that, let's jump in and let's get started. Now, I'm going to go ahead and apologize for everything being off-center on your screen. It's not you, it was me and OBS. I forgot that I had the wrong resolution selected, so my screen is off-center. This is actually what I see when I play, just because I play on an ultra-wide screen, but the game lets you squeeze everything to the middle so I can record in 1440p, which is better viewing for you on YouTube. So, yeah, it's a little off-center, but hey, it still works. So anyways, after I removed some of the buildings and stuff I didn't want on the island anymore, those amphora makers, I started work on the harbor right here. This is what I wanted to kind of set everything up and decide how I wanted the city to go. I went with just a very simple kind of V-shaped or U-shaped, whatever shape you want to call this, harbor area. I may come back and make some changes to this later on, though, to add some breakwaters and some wooden piers and stuff to it. But for the moment, this is kind of where I went with, because I wanted the town to just kind of wrap around the harbor and then the fields and stuff behind it. So that's kind of where I decided to get started with this and just laying out some basic ideas for the harbor and everything. Again, I didn't get too fancy with it. There's not a lot of stuff for the harbor right now, just depots, trading piers, repair cranes, and that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot for harbors right now. Fishing boats, you know, things like the fishing piers, things like that. So it's going to be a very simple harbor to start. Maybe later on I'll do a little bit more with it if I, can get some inspiration. But it does give me a good foundation for where I'm going to have the city go to and everything, and how I want this to look, because I wanted it to be kind of a harbor town. It's the feeling I was going to go for. Just a harbor town that specializes in olive oil and everything, where most of the people are lower class citizens, and then you have the local magistrate, I would assume, is living in that villa, and they live in opulence in this grand, gorgeous villa, while everyone else kind of lives in basic housing and everything. I kind of wanted to give that a sense of a story with the city and everything. Big grand temples, big grand villa. Everyone else kind of lives in slummy conditions. So that's kind of what I had in my head when I was doing this. It's one thing I like to do when I'm doing beauty builds, is I try to think of a story for an area. Why does it look like this? Why would it look this way? And, what's the story behind this particular neighborhood? So from here, I'm going to start moving everything out of the way. We're going to get all the buildings moved back. Give me some room to start laying out the city. I didn't want to destroy any of the buildings that I'm using currently, because I know exactly how many buildings I need at the moment, and I didn't want to have to destroy it all and then refigure up all of my production that I need. So we'll just move everything back, give me some building room, and then move everything back down a little at a time. And we're going to start doing that with some housing and stuff after I kind of get some road upgrades going here. So I knew I wanted some more housing, at least, because I don't have enough to make this town look how I wanted it to. So we're going to start laying out some houses. And again, sorry, yeah, it's cut off over on the right-hand side. I've got about another 3 or 4 inches worth of screen over there. Now, this is something really fun. I have become obsessed with making angled areas like this, combining straight areas into angled areas. And I've gotten kind of good at it, actually. I would have to say I've gotten kind of good at working with the system and making these curved areas look kind of cool. This one isn't as neat as some of as what I'm going to build here in a moment, and none of these compare to what I built on the main island, because those are really, really good looking. I was really proud of how that looked when I got done with it. So here I'm going to start trying to figure out how to make this work. And what I found is if leaving like a tile space in between certain houses, either on either side, will give you the space to start moving things around and create the curves in the roads and in the buildings, and you can make them match up and almost look like they were meant to be that way. It's not perfect. If we had corner buildings, it would be better. But, you know, you can kind of fake it by just moving things around specific ways and just kind of manipulating the houses a little bit. Now, I'm going to go out and find a place for this market right here. And where I place it right now, it only stays for like a second. Because once I go and take a look at it from postcard view, it's like, oh, no, this is not going to work for me. It doesn't quite line up the road, and then you see it's slanted. And I instantly saw that. I was like, oh, I don't think I like this. I don't think I like it slanted right there. It's going to drive me crazy. Left it for just a second because I liked the idea of the market being on the main road going up to where I'm going to have the villa at. But I can't handle that the sloped roof of it. So we're going to take it, and we're just going to flip it completely around right here. And yeah, that's going to look a lot better. And then I'm going to use the cosmetic tool to change the marketplace to the Market of Syrah skin right there from the Hall of Fame. And I'm pretty happy with that. So we're going to get a few more houses moved around that were already existing on the island, just so I can basically finish up the main part of the city. It's not done. I'm going to be adding more to it later. But this at least gets all of the houses that I moved out of the way into the new build and out of my way so I can start work on the next big part of the build, which is going to be the villa. The sanctuary's moved out of the way for a moment. I'm not super happy with where I've placed it at the moment, but it's just going to stay there temporarily. I do like what I do with the houses right here, though. I make a fun little weird shape out of them. And then it's got a big void in the middle, and I was like, okay, I could put a park or something there, or I could just put a house in there and have like a little tucked away, just a little tucked away plebeian house. I don't know, it was kind of cool. So now comes the part that I know a lot of people are waiting for, and that's the actual beauty building part of all of this. So we're going to start with the villa. It's going to be the focal point of the city coming from looking down from the harbor. And I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to do this. I thought at first maybe about having, an olive groves on either side within the walls leading up to it. So that's what I go for and try to do first, is going for, an olive grove and everything. Because that just seemed... I just had this image of my mind of, going down a trail and going down a road rather, and walking amongst the olive trees going up to the magistrate's villa. So I started doing it, and as I started doing it, I started realizing that it's probably not going to exactly work the way I want it to. For one thing, it's not within range of the cistern, so I had to move it even closer to the road to get access to the cistern. And then I started laying out the trees, and I realized that it's just going to be way too big. It's too much. It's 160 tiles, and that's not even including once I have the Ceres buff, the Vervactor's plow or whatever. I don't remember how to pronounce that. But the plow veneration from her that adds 50% more fields. So that's going to take me up to 240 fields, I believe it is, or 250. I think it's 240. So I started realizing that that's not going to work, and I don't think I'm going to like it, just because it's going to take up way too much space. I kept trying to mess with it and to see if I was going to like it, but after I placed down the fields and got to looking at it, it was like, you know what? I'm not going to love this. It's not looking how I want it to. It doesn't look uniform enough. So we're just going to get rid of that. We're going to take it out. We're going to say no to that. And we're going to come up with a completely different plan here. So my plan is to make it a little bit smaller, make the area within the walls a little bit smaller and not have so much space taken up, because I do need plenty of space for the olive groves themselves on the island as well. So we're going to make sure that these are even, come down with them. And the corners kind of did a weird thing where they didn't, I could have met them up, but I was like, oh, hey, it'll make a nice little angle. It's just, something a little unique and different. So it's not just a big rectangle. So I was kind of happy with that. And then my gears started turning about, okay, how do I want to make this look? What do I want to do? I was like, okay, I want a nice big, courtyard kind of thing in front of it. So we're going to draw out some roads and get some roads laid out so I can put in some plazas and stuff, or some, I think they're plazas. Get some plazas in there, and then we'll get a fountain and pretend that the fountain is not running downhill, because that's going to hurt my brain considerably. And then start getting some pathways drawn out around it. Just some walkways around the villa. That way, you want your people to have somewhere to walk. The Romans didn't just wander around in the dirt and the grass. They liked pathways and roads. Obviously, they loved roads. But, I wanted to get some pathways around here just to create a very nice formal gardens look. I think that's the words I'm trying to find at the moment. Make it a really nice formal garden area. Then I'm going to start using some, the hedges right here. I'm going to start using hedges. And again, I'm on a 45-degree angle, so they don't line up quite right. And the corners actually do this kind of cool little thing where they angle in. I was like, hey, that's kind of fun, actually. It's something a little different and unique. So I left it like that. And I traced out just the inside. I don't go all the way around. Just this just this part right here, to create just a little hedge right there. And then I ran into absolute nightmare right here because, again, I'm on a 45, so the tiles are off. And I couldn't get it to line up. And I ended up just scrapping it and being like, whatever. Now, here I'm doing something that's going to last not very long. The grass, I was like, oh, I want some nice manicured grass. And then I got to looking at it, and I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. The Romans weren't known for having, manicured, mowed lawns. They just kind of didn't do that. So I'd leave it for a minute, and then I'm like, I don't like this. It's too... There's something about that grass texture I'm just not a fan of. So we're going to put down this little bath and everything, and I'm trying... As I'm placing down trees, I keep looking at this grass like, I hate this grass. This grass has to go. Cannot handle it. So we're going to go ahead and just get rid of all that grass and go back to the natural terrain, because I think that looks the best. So moving forward, I started putting in more, floral decorations. I wanted potted cypresses and potted plants and stuff scattered around the bathhouse and everything to, just give it some character and something with it. I wish we had more decorations at the moment. Of course, we don't. We'll get more later on. I know we will. But for right now, we're kind of limited, so you just kind of have to use your imagination on stuff. So we're going to use all these trimmed trees, just to make a very nice formal area in the middle right here. Because again, I want this to be, just to show the wealth and the arrogance of this magistrate, while the rest of the city is living in by the docks and everything in their low-class slum-ish kind of apartments. He's living in this opulent garden tree trim filled area with fountains and bathhouses and statues everywhere. Just to show how arrogant this guy is. I thought that'd be kind of cool. I am really happy with how this has turned out, though. Very pleased with myself on this little build and everything right here. We're going to add in a few more trees around the edges and everything, and get some more floral stuff going. There we go. Get that on the 90 and start dragging those down through there. This is how I'd like to do trees, by the way. I don't just click and drag all the time. I actually like to take them and just randomly click and scatter them. It looks a little more natural to me in a way. I was trying to get rid of that tree. It's trees on the terrain, and I couldn't get rid of it. It was driving me crazy. But yeah, I just randomly click them instead of, you know, having it so perfectly uniform. I think it makes it a little more interesting looking instead of just having a perfect row of trees. That's just me and how I like to look at it. And then I was trying to figure out what to do with this one last space right here. I've got this one oddball space. I was like, I don't know what to do here. And I can't even remember in this part of the clip if I even do anything with it yet or if I come back to it later. I think I come back to it later. But yeah, we're going to add some braziers and stuff just, you know, to line the walkways for some nighttime shots and everything. And it's looking rather nice, actually. I really like this area. Oh, no, I do decide what to do. Since this is an olive grove island, I decided to just randomly place down some olive trees so the magistrate has his own personal olive grove. Wealthy Romans were known, you know, they were known to have private olive groves and stuff like that. Something that they did. They had groves of trees that were all their own. So I decided to go ahead and place that down and make a very nice looking olive grove. And then we're just going to line the walkway with some more trees. And that is the villa area done. With the work on the villa done, I'm ready to kind of start finishing up the main part of the city with like the rest of the housing and some fun little areas just so it's not just a big blocks of housing everywhere. One thing I love to do is to make little, kind of like little cul-de-sacs of housing with a well at the end of it and everything. I don't know why. It's a weird obsession of mine, okay? I don't know. I can't explain it. But I love doing this. I go in, I make like a little offshoot. I put a latrine right there, but then I put this little well right there in that little spot. I drag a road over to it. And then it's like it's just a little dead end area with a well at the end of it. It makes good use of the wells, and it looks kind of cool. So then I'm going to start dragging out and adding in the rest of the olive farms, the olive plantations, whatever they're called, olive growers. I'm going to start adding in the rest of those that I don't have around the city and start filling in some spaces and everything. But I am going to snake them along because I plan on having quite a few of them in this area. So I'm going to use this brush tool right there to kind of keep it from looking so uniform. And then eventually I'll end up snaking them up so I can have as many of them squeezed in as possible. Now, I decided right here to finally use this stone wall. I've never used it before, and oh my god, I love it. I've got to use it everywhere now. The stone wall looks so cool. I love it to death. It just is awesome looking. Moving over this is the Paleosfelter and getting that put into the city. Again, great building for lower class areas of plebeians and liberte. Love that building right there. Getting rid of some of that plazas and stuff that I have in the way just so I can fill that in with trees later. And then I decided, you know what? There's too much on one side. I need to balance this. I need to balance out the view and everything. So I decided to put the temple over on the other side of the city from the villa. That way there's not so much heavy on one side, and the villa is the star of this side of the island, and then the temple will be the star of the other side of the island. I tried to mess around with it for a second over here, but I was like, you know what? No, it's going to have to go over here. So it was a perfect spot. It fit in very nicely, and it just balanced out the looks of the island, and I was super, super pleased with how that turned out and how that looked right there. Very, very happy with it. Of course, I wasn't sure exactly what to do with the sanctuary just yet, and then it kind of dawned on me, hey, let me get rid of this and have the sanctuary going up to the villa and everything, because that would look kind of cool and everything. The main road going through the center of town, going to the villa, has the sanctuary right close to the villa and everything. I thought about putting it there. Yeah, that's right. I forgot I did that. Yeah, I put it there first, and I tried to make it work, and I was just like, no, that's not going to work. It's too much space. I don't like that much empty space. Sitting there staring at it for a while. This is what happened. This is why I don't show everything sometimes, guys, because literally it's me moving stuff around 20 different times until I'm finally happy with it. I think this right here is where it finally hit me to maybe do it this other way after I get these houses and stuff down. And it lined up so nicely. And I do make one of my nice little curved areas right here. Again, very, very thrilled with how this turns out. Oh, it just looks so good. You could make such amazing designs. Okay, there. I did move it over there next to the road going up to the villa. So yeah, that's been moved over there, and now we're going to start working on this side of the island and getting all of these olive groves put in. Because this whole side I wanted to be olives. I wanted the city to end kind of abruptly and move directly into massive olive groves. I wanted to do stone walls over here, but I had 3 farms to fit in on this side, and I knew later on, once I had the Vervactor's Plow veneration from Ceres, that I would need as much space as possible. So I decided not to do the stone walls on this side just because space was a little bit tighter on this side for me. I could get away with not doing it or not having, you know, all the fields possible. But that would also lower productivity, sorry. And of course, this is a working island. This island does produce currently all the olive oil that I need for 2 major cities. So I as much as I want this island to look as pretty as possible, I also have to take into consideration it is something that is working for me. I need this island to be producing. Oh, here, I'm going to make another little spot right here. And just, it's just so nice. It's just so much fun to do this. I think this one right here gave me a little trouble because I couldn't do it exactly how I wanted. Yeah, so we're going to grab that, pull that up through there, and then stick a well in the middle. And it just looks so cool to do this. So you got a little bit of fire coverage right there, because I did delete the fire station. There's no Vigiles on this island. Oh yeah, the plazas. Get rid of the plazas, dude. What are you thinking? Use dirt, you nub. You nub. Use the dirt. There you go. Good Taka. But yeah, I don't have a Vigiles on this island. So all of my fire safety is only coming from cisterns and wells and no, I don't even have amphora on this island. So it's just the cistern and wells. That's where all of it's coming from. So yeah, we're going to move the house over just a little bit so I can squeeze in more olive groves. And I think I also throw down a warehouse up here in just a moment. That way I have some warehouse space over on this side. And I think there's this one, and there might be one more that I squeeze in somewhere, because it does get moved later on. This poor sheep farm just gets moved all over the place. I never know what to do with the sheep farm. It gets moved everywhere constantly. The poor thing. Oh yeah, I do go up one more with it. This last one does eventually get taken out. Not in this video, it's later on I do it. Because I do get the Vervactor's Plow finally veneration after a little while. I get a hold of that and I decide to take out that one extra farm at the top. And I use all of the free space gained from it to extend all of my fields on this side. So they all have 240 fields. It also ensures that all of my plantations have access to the cistern from the, what is that one? The Aborica, something Aborica tech. It's the tech for Albion, basically. Speaking of cisterns and everything, I do move my cistern right here. It was not reaching over far enough, and I decided, you know what? Hey, this magistrate that thinks he's better than everybody is probably going to want the cistern right out. He's not going to want the cistern in the walls, because that means that all the plebs and stuff will be coming up into the walls of the villa to get water. So it's right outside his villa is where the cistern is at now. Feels like a more appropriate place for it. I can kind of create my vision right here with, you know, the olive groves lining around the villa and stuff. It does look kind of cool. I fill in with like trees and different stuff later on just to kind of create a transition right there. But it does turn out really, really nice. And this is where I start snaking stuff up to make sure I have plenty of room for all of the other olive groves, because there's quite a few left to still get into the city. I think there's, I see 1, 2, 3, 3 more, and then I think I add an additional 3 or 4. So I do squeeze quite a few olive growers in here, plus all of the olive presses and stuff. And later on, I add even more olive presses and get them squeezed into the city. So there's a lot going on here. You know, it is a working island, like I said. It's not just pretty. It is functional for us. It's not efficient, of course. It's not efficient at all. God knows it's not efficient. But it works for my purposes. And there's other islands on the map that have olives on them as well if I need those later. So I'm not overly fussed about not having, you know, a perfect layout or anything, because that's, you know, that's not what I'm going for. One thing I will say is that I think the olive presses look amazing when they are built within the olive growers themselves. Olive presses just don't look right in the city. I know they give so much health in their area effect, but they just don't look good, to be honest with you, in the middle of a city and everything. So outskirts of the city, surrounded by olive growers, I think that's like prime. That's just the prime look for them. So we're going to grab this guy right over here, fill him in. This is a very tight spot. I was able to get all of these fields in and a handful more from Vector's Plow later, but it's one that is not working at the full capacity because there's just not enough space over there. But I was okay with that. You know, I didn't really mind not having all of that done. And with this one right here being placed down, that's the last of the existing olive stuff that I needed to, you know, get back in. We're going to put in one more cistern over on this side, just for these few plantations that are going to be on this side of the map, because there are more coming. And then I'll be ready to go on to some last minute detail work. Alright, I'm going to do some detail work and everything, just mostly trees, plants, flowers, some statues and stuff scattered around, and just a few odds and ends just to spruce the town up and give it my final Passover. I'm going to leave you with this right here, and I'll come back to you guys after this part is done.
Accept my sacrifice, an ox of clay, an ox in spirit.
all these Jews. Lady Faustina will...
And there we go, guys. This took me about an hour and a half, roughly, real time, to take this boring looking olive oil and amphora production island. I just have everything slapped down for quick, easy production to get everything going for my main island. And took a little bit of time out of my day to turn this boring island into something rather pretty. It may not be, the most idealistically beautiful looking island, but a lot of people that have been around here for a while know that I don't build for romanticized beauty. I try to make stuff look somewhat realistic in a way, and I feel like this is a somewhat realistic looking Roman olive oil town sort of thing. It's not full of gardens and plazas and beautiful fountains everywhere and tree-lined avenues. It's functional, it works, it's a production city, but it just looks really good. I was really happy with how it turned out. I'm hoping that we see some more, I know we're going to see some, cosmetic packs and stuff in the future. DLCs will come with more cosmetics in them, and hopefully I can get some stuff to really make this city stand out even more. I do have one harbor area that I didn't really utilize. I have an officia over there for some additional coverage of some more olive farms and some olive growers that has an olive, one of the olive specialists that produces by 10%. So I've got him over there with a couple of houses and a small dock, but I just didn't have a lot of inspiration for that coastline right there. So maybe in the future I can, I'm always going to play around with it and tweak things on the island. I'll never be done with it, but I'm really happy with how this right here started and how it ended up. So I'm going to leave you with just a few more panoramas of the city, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know down below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, guys, take care.